From Mahjoob Zweiri, who joins us from Doha, which is where President Trump will be heading tomorrow. He's a professor of contemporary Middle East politics at Qatar University. Good to speak to you again, Mahjoob. Now, we'll talk about Qatar in just a moment, but I want to ask you, just more broadly speaking, your impressions of this visit to the region by President Trump and what you expect to come out of it.
I think since President Trump came to the White House, he basically create a new dynamics, which basically pushing all parties to be more effective and having actions rather than only talks. We saw this on the release some of the hostages before he started his presidency, and now I think we are seeing, I call it the third phase of the dynamics he is creating now. The dynamic now he's creating is very clear. He needs a solution. He does not accept what Netanyahu is doing to him, to the Americans, and he is differentiating between Trump and the support to Israel. And those are things they will be well received in the Arab world. I think the message he will receive from the three Arab capitals that supporting Israel does not mean that you have to support Netanyahu. Netanyahu is creating mess to all of us, and you have to help us to get this mess end. Otherwise, we will be all in trouble.
And as he heads to Qatar the next day, a number of issues there, not the least of which is the controversy over this gift, as it's being seen, that the Qatari government is giving to President Trump in the form of a jumbo jet, which is leading to a lot of criticism back in the US among his opponents and accusations of corruption. But Qatar is also a key mediator in the ongoing talks to bring an end to the war in Gaza. So just talk us through some of that and in terms of that dynamic.
I mean, in Doha, I think there are three or two main issues. One is the bilateral, and the second one is regional matters. I think the bilateral, the relations have been developed in a very great manner in the last 20 years. And the two countries, they have a strategic partnership. They are meeting every year. And there is a lot of, I would say, communications about what's so-called developing and increasing the level of bilateral relations and collaborations between two countries. I think the major thing now is the regional issues. Qatar has played the role of mediator between the United States and Iran, and did also play the role on the role of mediation now they play when it comes to between Hamas and Israel. I think Trump has a great interest to work with Qatar to end the war in Gaza. There is one major thing common between both sides, I think, which I see now is becoming obvious on Trump's discourse, which is basically ending the war. That is what Qatar also wants to see. So that's kind of, I would say, a common interest that could push the president to put more pressure on Netanyahu and Israel to give more concessions and so they can have released more captives and also have a great, I would say, agreement on what's the day after will be in Gaza. Especially there are three things now clear to the American administration and Trump. One, Hamas does not want to be in power in Gaza. Number two, there is a need to get food and medicine quickly yesterday rather than today to Gaza, and he himself said he does not accept what's happening. And the third thing, I think he believes that what Netanyahu is doing is basically sort of manipulation, is affecting his image, and that itself will push him to put more efforts, which will bring Qatar and Washington to work together to have a deal sooner than later.
Speaking of Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, what do you make of the fact that Israel is not on his itinerary on this Middle East trip, and will people in the Israeli leadership see that as a slight against them? and how is that going to affect the efforts to bring peace to Gaza?
As you know, Hazem, it is President Trump handling foreign policy and the Middle East differently from the other presidents and other, I would say, governmental politicians in Washington. He's thinking himself about the matter, and he wants what happens in his mind to be implemented. And that itself is problematic to Netanyahu. Netanyahu wants him to believe in ideology, wants him to believe in a historical conflict. These concepts, this kind of discourse does not have access to Trump. Trump does not believe. Trump believes on deals. Trump believes in actions, and the quick actions rather. So basically, what's happening now? He believes that Netanyahu wants to use the United States, use the relation with him, and that's the reason he wants to talk to Iran behind Netanyahu. He sacked the national security advisor because he communicated with Netanyahu. He talked to Houthis, and now he talked to Hamas again to release the captives Idanias last night. And I think he's continuing on this because he has a very clear understanding that Netanyahu should not play in our interests. We have a broad interest as the United States. Israel is one of them, and we cannot think as Netanyahu wants us to think. And I think that is the major difference between the two men. I think Netanyahu will capture this, but it will be late.
Good to talk to you as always, Mahjoob Zweiri, joining us there
Thank
in
you, Hazem.
Doha. Thanks for your perspective.